So some of the stuff we're going to do, so we've got some cod here. We do a dish called curried cod. We make our own lime pickle, etc. Basically just a little bit of curry oil with some cumin, and we've got some spice in there. So we're just going to drop that. That's at 55 degrees, so that's going in. That will take, to be honest, there's no real set time for that, because at 55 degrees, it doesn't cook the protein enough for it to overcook. But what it does do is, when we take it out, once it's been in there for at least 10 minutes, we'll be able to press it and you'll see it flake apart and you'll see beautiful translucent pieces. And that's the control we've got, that some things are very time orientated, like the steak we're going to take out, but other things aren't. I've got some scallops here, some nice king scallops. People would probably think it's sacrilegious to put them in a water bath, but what I've been doing with things, the water bath and under vacuum, is changing the texture of things. We use a potato dish here where the dish is primarily potato and the scallops are inserted into there, and it almost seems like they've got a potato kind of texture. So they're going in, and we'll fry those after, and we'll see what those look like as well. Right, so we were talking about using for fish. So I've got some cod here. So the cod's been at 55 degrees. It's been in for about 20 minutes. It's the good thing about under pressure as well, it keeps its shape and stuff. So it's been marinating a little bit of curry. So we're just going to open the bag. So, I mean, some people say this is sort of taking the skill out of cooking. It's not. It's skillful. You still have to do all the skill bits with it, and all the things that surround it. But what this is going to show you is that it's give us some beautiful texture. So if I take the piece of cod, and if you just look on it now, if I just flake it apart, you see how it flakes. But if you look, it's still lovely and translucent. You know, so if we'd have left the skin on that. Left the skin on it, it would have kept its shape beautifully. But if you look at that, that is absolutely perfection in cooking. For me it is anyway, because it's slightly translucent, it's flaked apart nicely, and the texture's there, and it's still slightly wobbly in the mouth, if I can use that term, but it's been in there and I haven't had to monitor it. It's got all the flavour that we put in the bag, it's got a slight hint of curry. Just need to add a little bit of salt and pepper now, and whenever we're going to finish it, I'd finish it with some lime pickle and maybe do some little curry potatoes with it for a nice little summer evening salad and some rocket. But it's just great because it's just given us, you know, if you see, it's perfect. If you just break it apart, it just falls apart gently, rather than just, you know, disintegrating. But you've still got that little bit of pressure to push it apart, so it's still just cooked, and the moisture's there, and you can see, and it's lovely and bright and white. And that's why I love sous vide cooking. That's why I use Grant water baths. So here are the scallops we put in the water bath. They've been in the water bath for approximately 10 minutes. So you probably can't feel with the texture. They're firmed up quite nicely. So I'm going to cut them. I'm going to pan fry a couple, and I'm also going to just cut a couple. So if you've got, if you want to do something like a tartare of scallops, it's a great way because the scallop protein is actually being cooked. But what it's done, it still has a sort of a raw gelatinous texture, which is great, and that's why the dish we do with potatoes, it sort of combines the two. So I'm just going to open the bag again. There's usually sometimes a little bit of liquid when they come out, but they still look almost, to the naked eye, they look still raw, but if you feel, you can see where I'm pushing them, they're actually cooked. So if I just cut one in half, you can actually see, whereas they're still slightly pink in the middle, and they've got a thing around, you know, sort of a colour around the outside. So I'm going to pan fry some now. So just got a little bit of oil and some butter in the pan. But this is great for texture and consistency. I don't know if you can see. You probably can't see, but it almost feels. They're also like medium rare. Is the best way I can probably describe them. But when we do it with a potato dish, we do it with some heritage potatoes, and we make some soil out of rye bread, and we do some smoked potato on the bottom. It's just like a plate of potatoes, and we put the scallops in between so they look like potatoes. When you eat them, you suddenly get the texture difference, and then you suddenly realise that you're eating the scallop. And it just adds a different dimension, but it's all about changing the texture of stuff, and that's what it does for us. So it's going to heat the oil up here. But it keeps their shape as well. They've got a beautiful shape because they've been under vacuum as well. So we're just going to put those in the pan. And most scallops is such a popular seller, and it's just a great actual product to work with because it has the texture, the firmness, got a beautiful sweet texture. You can marry it with salty things, you can marry it with sweet things. You know, in the winter we use black pudding, bacon, parsnip, and they all go really well together. And we can do different textures, and we use the stuff by cooking them in the water bath as well. We can cook the parsnips in there, the black pudding, and you've got different textures on the different pressures. You see the butter's starting to go just gently brown now, they're just starting to nicely colour. So you see, cooking them in the water, in the bag in the water bath, you haven't really lost anything. You know, most people say, oh, but there might be too moist and stuff, but you've still got great texture. So I'm just going to give those a little season. And because you haven't got to cook them and make sure they're cooked, you'll just really give them a little bit of colour, you know. And then we'd usually finish with a little bit of lemon or a little bit of lime juice. But there they are, and that's how quick it is. So basically you can drop them in the bath, and rather than have to cook them to order, you can have them in the bath, you know, by the time the guests have come in and they're ready to go. But there you've got fantastic scallops, and you've still got, you know, when you cut them in half, you've still got the temperature still there. And then we just have a little bit of season, and that is it. And that's how versatile the water baths are. They're not just for pieces of meat, they're not just for fish, they're not just for vegetables, they're really for anything. And that's why I find them so valuable.